Meyer brand grills up the value you expect with quality you can taste in every bite. Try our new quarter-pound beef franks, cradled in our own hot dog buns and topped with tangy, no-sugar-added ketchup or easy-squeeze whipped salad dressing. Top your burger with our convenient burger-shaped Colby cheese slices. And don't forget the sides, like party-size Ripple potato chips, perfect for scooping, and our own special recipe cool and creamy macaroni salad. Stop into Meyer and discover big taste and bigger savings on Meyer brand.
Discount Tire has just made tire shopping easier. Their touchless experience allows you to buy tires and book your appointment online. Then when you drive in, you can stay safely inside your car as the tires are installed. Discount Tire. Let's get you taken care of.
This is Jordan Grace, and you're listening to the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
BWB, this is One Nation Radio. You better get it right. Rich Latta, James Boyd came to give them life. The Blackest Wrestling Podcast has come to kick all ass and drop it 6 feet if they kicking trash. Word, let me welcome y'all to something different. And if you dig it, man, you should let some friends listen. We be getting it in, this on the regular dude. Ravish and flow, but this shit rude. See, James don't rap, so I had to break it down. The whole network, man, we coming for the crown. Raps in the columns, I keep them both covered. Making the beats too, so the listeners can bump it. Hit us with the rating, yeah, I'm saying it's a 5. Before you hit it, talk, bob your head side to side. It's One Nation Radio, and this is the beginning. It's Rich, and I'm here with James. It's time to listen to One Nation.
We got to unleash the power of the pyramid.
This is Mike Sempervive from WrestlingObserver.com. Check me out on Wrestling Observer Live every day. And also check out your boys, Rich and James, on One Nation Radio.
This is Kenny Omega. We're listening to One Nation Radio. Check it out, guys. These guys know what's up. Big Kenny Omega fans. That's all that counts to me. Goodbye and good night. Bang.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's edition of One Nation Radio. I'm James Boyd, here with me. I have Rich Latta. What's going on, man?
Chilling, man. Just, getting, set. We just finished the Social Suplex Fantasy Draft this weekend.
I wouldn't know.
Radio is,
we don't even have it up yet.
Good.
I wouldn't even know. We don't even have it up yet. It seems to me like somebody is hiding a podcast. Let that podcast come home, Jeremy. Anyway,
I'm sure Jeremy had to do a lot of work cutting out the dead air because of the strategy. So if you guys heard another laugh in the background, we have the young boy Joshua Smith from Keepin It Strong Style.
Yeah, speaking of that, in this situation, we'll make him OVO. Josh Smith 40's bending over like he's 80.
What?
Hunched over like he's 80. About that. No, I'm not going to explain it to you. You Google it. Anyway, what's going on, Josh?
What's up, guys? Glad to be here. Glad to be hushed over like I'm 80. Yeah, man. I think this year's draft was pretty good, but we took everybody that was involved took it so seriously that there's a lot of downtime, dead air. Jeremy's like, I gotta clean this shit up.
Yeah, man. Hopefully, Josh has a happier time on the show. We don't have to talk about as much WWE as depressed him last time. So,
that was weird because I was on the show for years, and we always talked about WWE, and it was always great. And then last time I was on the show, that was a terrible pay-per-view, and I don't even remember what it was we talked about. I just remember
what pay-per-view was he on to review? I don't even remember.
I don't know. Drew McIntyre was champion. He wrestled someone. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I don't remember.
Rich, do you remember what pay-per-view was he on last that he reviewed?
I don't know if it was. It might have been an NXT show.
Nah, it was a WWE show.
Oh, okay.
It was a pay-per-view. I don't know. I literally forgot. I'm sure the listeners don't remember either.
It might have been
that was 7 years ago.
Fastlane, maybe?
That was 7 years
I don't know. Shit. Yeah, but
it was a couple months ago, but it was 7 years ago.
Yeah, bro. This whole pandemic thing is just time is just a game.
Yeah, man. We got a lot to get into today. We're going to start with Will Ospreay in New Japan. We've got a Double or Nothing preview coming up to close the show out, but we got to talk about Will Ospreay and pretty much the overall state of New Japan. And as you guys know, Will Ospreay forfeited he was stripped of the IWGP World Heavyweight title due to a neck injury. As the week went on, There are various rumors coming out from credible sources and people on both sides of this saying, hey, it's actually an injury. Some people are saying it's not an injury. Then we've got these NXT UK, rumors popping up with it. I've put out feelers within the wrestling world.
Gee, I wonder who that means he talked to.
Heard a few things. I got several friends, sir, in the business. So, but it's, and I've heard different things. So, Josh, what's going on in New Japan, man? It's rough right now. This is like,
talk to us, man. What you know good?
Hey man, this is like Brock Lesnar,
I feel like one of those Road Warrior promos. Talk to him. Oh man,
tell him, Hawk.
Yeah, tell him, Hawk. I don't really know, man. That question, what's going on with New Japan? That's the question I've been asking myself. Feels like since last year.
Yeah, summertime last year.
It's funny how it just creeps up over time, and you realize, wow, it's been like this for a year.
But to address, the topic at hand, I don't think anyone really, really knows except for those that are involved. I will tell you that I've reached out to sources that I have, and I'm not speaking for Jeremy here. I'm speaking for just me solely. My sources are telling me that they've talked to wrestlers in the company who have adamantly denied that he's leaving at all and said 100% he's staying with the company. But you know how that is. I mean, they could have been told that by credible sources. They could have meant that wholeheartedly and still be wrong because, we just watched that Dark Side of the Ring Brian Pillman show and a lot of people got worked,
Even people that don't want to admit they were worked.
Yeah, all these years later, So I don't really know. I mean, there was some news, that's just kind of sporadically been coming out over the past few days and even today. A lot of great work by Voice of Wrestling. Kind of have to give them a shout out on their Patreon and stuff. But they kind of gave a detailed breakdown of what is known right now. And the basic gist was Ospreay has a bad neck. He is banged up. He was hurt. We kind of had heard that he was hurt during the Shingo match. He had there was talks of him having maybe hurt his shoulder off of a shooting star press. So this was even before we heard about the neck thing. I know Dave Meltzer talked about that a little bit on Observer Radio. So people were kind of mentioning he was a little banged up, but the news that's coming out now is that the trainers knew that he was hurt, but not hurt so bad to where he wasn't cleared to wrestle, and not hurt so bad that they thought that he couldn't continue with the tour. The game plan apparently was that he was going to defend the title at the Yokohama show or at the
Tokyo Dome show against Okada. Slam.
Yeah, the Tokyo Dome, drop the title to Okada, and then at that point, basically go home. And then the state of emergency, tightened, and the COVID outbreaks took place, and they had to cancel their shows. And on top of that, it's now been confirmed that Okada was one of the few that, that was COVID positive. So they kind of told him, hey, these Road 2 shows are off. And it wasn't just him. They told all the foreign talent that they were going to go home. And, with him not having an opponent in Okada, they were telling him he was going to go home. And then, in short order, they canceled that. Announced these series of Road 2 shows that are going on now and over the next couple weeks, and told all the Gaijin talent that they needed to stay here and work. And I think with Will, basically what we know is that he decided to go home against the wishes of the company, citing personal and physical reasons. And at that point, the company, if he does come back, we don't know when he's coming back, but if he does, there's going to be the quarantine. We don't know if it's going to be in time for these stadium shows that are and Dominion that are being postponed potentially. So it's kind of a mess, and so the company felt like they had no other option other than to strip him. And there's talks that he might be leaving to go to NXT, NXT UK, WWE. No one's really sure. There's a lot of misunderstanding about or at least what the reports are saying is that a lot of the Japanese talent keeps citing NXT UK as the place he's going. I think that sounds plausible because the reports were that B. Priestley was going to NXT UK. Dave Meltzer kind of reported on this and said he didn't think that made sense because of how much they'd have to pay Will. And just to keep a talent like him in NXT UK doesn't really seem to make sense. But, I think there's precedent for it. They did it with Walter, and it kept him off the game board, kept him away from AEW and New Japan. So I don't see why they wouldn't do that for Will if that's what he was looking to do as well. Rev Pro at the same time, he's still the Rev Pro champion, and they've kind of come out and said publicly that they're not stripping him of their title, and that he's going to be making a public statement about what's going to happen going forward. And they're in a different position than New Japan because they haven't taped any footage that would contradict the stories right now, whether he were to be champion or not. So they're kind of in a good spot when it comes to that matter. That's pretty much what we know. There's people who think he's leaving. The one thing we do know is that he's supposedly locked up to a 5-year deal, but no one really knows what the actual confirmed terms are. I know this past year there was reports that Jay White had a similar deal, and it turned out he wasn't even under contract when everyone was saying he had a 5 or 7 year deal. So, the misinformation, because it's a foreign country, that could be part of this whole thing as well. Plus, if he decided not to go back, they'd probably have to give him a release because what are they really going to do? What are they going to do to him? I mean, at that point, it's a Brock Lesnar situation all over again.
Yeah, it's like, do you get him and bury him? That's not in your best interest. Can you ever really trust him again? Probably not. If it's not a real deal injury and only a couple people know what it is for real, and that's Will and that's the company. Kind of wondering about that IWGP World Heavyweight title. You get it. All the backlash, like with them combining the belts. Ibushi basically takes all that, he drops it in his first defense or second defense. Will and Shingo, a great match, and then it's up in the air again. The IWGP title has not been in a situation like this.
So
15 years, Josh?
The last time the IWGP Heavyweight title was vacated was in 2009 when Tanahashi was champion, and even then it was quite a rarity that had even happened. So yeah, it's been the lineage has been unbroken since then till now.
Yeah.
Well, I thought
it's not.
It's not.
Anyway. Yes, it's not the same lineage.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So what
different
do you think
lineage?
Here,
Yeah, they folded that belt up.
It's a different belt.
Yeah. See what happens. See what happens when you throw away decades of history for some new shit that don't make no sense and no one wanted. See what happens when you out here creating solutions for things that weren't problems.
The grass isn't always greener.
Now I'm about to think like Chris Brown song for the next 5 minutes.
Jan, so what do you make of the vacancy of the title itself and where to go from here, and and then all this stuff we're seemingly dropping on you with the with all the rumors and everything else with Will.
Okay, so full disclosure, I don't know what the hell is going on because I've just been it's been a week where I've just had to have my head away from pro wrestling, to be quite honest with you. I had to watch I think it was 4 shows this week. I only was able to get to 3 of them, but whatever. This is just weird to me because when I'm hearing NXT UK and I mentioned it in the thread thing before I found out that people there's some questions of whether or not there's a misunderstanding, and I was just like, NXT UK don't even make no damn sense to me because whatever deal he's getting to even go to NXT, if it was NXT normal, or domestic, he got that from AEW and had the same flexibility to do whatever he wanted to do away from the mainland or somewhere off TV and do indie dates. And that Walter thing, pretty much precludes him from Walter's deal. Obviously, not all things are equal. Will's a bigger star than Walter was at the time, but like Walter is like, you can do whatever you can do the stuff you were doing over in Europe, but you know, like US, like that's you're kind of ours now. So for me, it's like when it comes to AEW, he could have got a very good deal. It made sense and had the flexibility to do New Japan and all the other stuff or whatever. So I just didn't see it as it making much sense. It's just from an Occam Razor's perspective. Now, like, you know, obviously some things change when you throw in like where we don't know where B actually is. We think that she's signing to be in one of the NXTs. We're not sure which one, but you know. So I was just like, okay, this is all weird, but it's like, and also thought me was like, so wait, all this news is coming out, but like, we haven't heard anything about him getting a release yet, and then you guys mentioned it as well, so it's like, you know, eventually I think it's going to come down to either A, he's coming back, or B, it's going to be some big shit raised up and kicked up over him asked for a release eventually, and then he either gets it or he doesn't, or he has to come back and run out whenever his contract ends. If people think it actually ends, you know, in January, you know, traditionally the New Japan contracts for Gaijins have ended. So, you know, this is
they're
nothing.
Talking about the Gaijin unrest. Like a lot of people are threatening to walk, or they say
and
a lot of people are going to be out of there.
And that came up
January,
right? And that came up like a week or two ago about Gaijins have issues. Before the offer came out. Yeah.
It started to kind of come out. There was the brief, like, kind of like mentions. I don't remember whose podcast he was on, but Fit Finley Sr. was on someone's podcast, and he was like,
JBL and Gerald Briscoe.
That's who it was, yeah. He was on JBL and Gerald Briscoe's, and he was like, yeah, there's some issues over in Japan. You know, Dave is kind of looking at his options and then he kind of like detailed what's going on, that they were told that they could leave and then they couldn't leave, and then, you know, the quarantine situation, plus they've been quarantining these guys in the dojo and not in hotels recently, so that's like been an issue that people kind of had.
Miserable.
Plus, like two of the
even in a hotel 2 weeks is miserable.
Yeah, and then two of the Gaijin talent who were told to stay, which the speculation is that it's Dave Finlay and Jay White. They know that 2 Gaijin talent tested positive for COVID, and then so that added even more, you know, stress to the situation as well. So yeah, that's there. Speaking of some of the things that you brought up, one thing is with the AEW situation, there's the fact that if he was working AEW, I don't know what Pac does. I think I've heard that he might travel, but I know that obviously things change. But Will has said in the past he never wants to work in America. He worked in America for ROH and he hated it. And so that might be one of the reasons why the speculation for NXT UK is so high. Plus, you know, the rumors that is specifically where B. Priestley went. And, you know, there's reports that they broke up. It was the end of their relationship. And I know we're in the realm of speculation here, but like, I remember being in Dallas in a worked press conference, not a real press conference, mind you. This was one that was kayfabe, and someone asked him about B and how she helps him when he's touring, and this man started literally sobbing and broke down for real. So I mean, I could just imagine, you know, I don't know what their situation really is, but I mean, if your girlfriend, you know, you're living in a foreign country and you're having a tough time and you're hurt, you're banged up, and she leaves you and she goes over to another country, you have opportunity maybe to make that work. That could be what's happening here. Literally.
I don't want to go. I'll
give up this damn belt for you.
I don't want to go further down this rabbit hill. Like, look, whatever. Look, because that ain't our business, and I don't really like to go down that kind of thing. Because, like, look, man, whatever he decides, whatever reason, I just saying, like, I'm not going to pretend that that's not a possible factor into his decision making. So it's worth mentioning, but like, I don't feel like delving into that part. So
that's pretty much all I'm saying. Okay, it's a possibility.
Okay. All right, cool. I just want to stop there. I don't want to go no further because like I don't care. I don't care about their relationship to that extent. Like, what to want to delve into that? Not on air. Hell no. So yeah, man, it's just a weird situation.
So what are they gonna do with the belt, man?
Yeah, that's where I'm at too next. Like,
How
you
do
look
they
at the
solve this
situation.
problem?
You look at the situation. Like viable title contenders or whatever they're going to do. I presume that like the champion will now be decided at the next Tokyo Dome. So like.
Well, actually, we don't know, because we don't know the schedule right now. So the deal is we've got a couple weeks of Road 2 shows and then Dominion. And then the speculation is that eventually we're getting those Yokohama and Tokyo Dome shows, but there's no dates that have officially been set. The Olympics aren't that far around the corner. And there's already another tour for, I forget which show it is, but there's already another tour coming up for a different show. They're saying that they're postponing those stadium shows, but I don't know how they would even break even doing those shows given how tight the lockdowns are. And they're saying that they are looking to expand the lockdowns out in those prefectures to like June or July right now. So it's like those shows might just never happen, kind of like the Wrestle Dynasty last year. I think there's a good possibility that we get Dominion, we move on to the next show, and those stadium shows just don't happen.
I mean,
yeah. And Josh, you brought up something when we were talking off air, like about the Olympics and and the Olympics' role in all this.
Yeah, I think and I who am I? I don't work in the government, so I mean, I don't want to overly criticize, but it seems to me like there could be a case of some. Just being like overly cautious because the numbers have risen, but they're not significantly higher than they were last year. And this company ran using PPE. We know the PPE works. They did contact tracing. Based on what they said, there was no, cases at all that for audience members all last year. But suddenly everyone's in lockdown, like to the nth degree. And I think it's mainly because the country, the government is trying to do their best to just contain everything because the Olympics is coming up. And I think that's why
they're trying to run the numbers down ahead of time or try to curb a spike for any potential spikes happening by the time it is time for the Olympics, which is like, I still not exactly sure that we're going to get the fucking Olympics. And we might just have to say, hey, sorry, there was no summer Olympiad in this space. And sorry, all you people that have built for 4 or 5 years to get to this point, you're past your prime. Better get into coaching or UPS hiring or something. Sorry, because they're not going to run. Even if they get to next year, they're not going to run some 2022 Summer Olympics when they have a 2022 Winter Olympics. Hell no. So So you might just have to get it like the Red Cross.
Well, I mean, I don't think they will. But they
Japan
could
trying to ensure this money is coming, this yen is coming in.
Well, that's the thing. But that's the thing why they're trying to do all this stuff to try to make it to where, regardless of, they're trying to do anything in their control to where they don't, to where if it's canceled, is because of the IOC, not because of Japan. Because getting to the Olympics, regardless of what city you're in, what country you're in, is a money loser. It's always a money loser. It's just to say that we did it or whatever else. It's very similar to that game, Rich, that you're very familiar with. Subsidizing franchises, arenas. You just want to have your name on the marquee to say that our city has this team, and we pay for this stadium with taxpayer money, and this team might hold you hostage or whatever else in a decade, whenever or 15, 20 years down the line when the state-of-the-art arena isn't state-of-the-art anymore. But the whole thing is city pride or civic pride in to say that we have had another Olympics games, like that is important to the world. So that's why people dump in all this money to build all these buildings and arenas to host all these events that are only really there for that. And then after the Olympics gone, you're like, okay, well, we'll use it for other stuff over the years, and then hopefully you can fill those buildings out. But all that concrete got poured, all that wiring got ran, all those pipes got put in, and all that money got spent. So that's what Japan's on, and I don't blame them, because that's what we would be on, and that's what every other country would be on that's trying to get an Olympic game or a World Cup. So, like, I don't blame them, but it just stinks from the perspective of us, following these moves because we're wrestling nerds, I would like to see some, a gigantic Tokyo Dome show again because they're trying to recoup and all this kind of stuff, and that means they have to run out another big card, so they got another great show. That's cool, but like you said, like, what's more important? These people's lives are trying to run this shit down. Like, if they feel like the government is forced to try to get this Olympic Games in, then like, hey man, wrestling gotta come to the side because the Olympics is more important than fucking wrestling or a Tokyo Dome show. It just is. So I get it.
I remember the days the IWGP title would have been more important than the Olympics.
Oh my god,
we're no longer in those days.
That never happened. But
what days were those?
So give me 3 names. Who should we look out for? Should we just go ahead and get it over with and give my dog Ishii his gold watch? Like why not? What's the argument against it?
I don't think they should do that. But I'll tell you right now, if it was me, if I was running the company and I had the option to basically put the title on one person in this situation, the person that I would give it to that I think makes the most sense for quite a few number of reasons, I'd give it to Minoru Suzuki. Because he's never held the world title before, and he is someone who is like super over. And I think one of the reasons they never give him the title is because they don't feel like he needs it. But right now, I think the title might need someone like him who can actually elevate the title a little bit because it's, it just got dropped because of all the scandal and everything like that. And then you have someone who's ready-made to get beat by whoever your actual real champion is next, probably Okada. But, I mean, you could do any number of guys. But if it was me, I would set up Suzuki, and he's super credible and believable as the champion right out the gate. And you're not wasting any matches. I mean, there's probably not a single match that's on paper that you've never done with Suzuki already, and major stars. So it's not like, if you do him and Okada or him and Naito, that they've never done it before. You're not throwing a match away, but it's still going to draw, and it's something that doesn't even have to draw on a major level right now because they're in the pandemic, but it's still going to have some interest in it. And you might even be able to, he's had some incredible title runs in the past, most recently in Noah in 2015, where he demolished half the Noah roster for the better part of a year. That's what I would do. I would put the belt on him, have him beat a couple guys, and then have Okada take the belt off of him, probably.
So you saying they should not put the belt on Keiji Muto?
I don't know. It seems like they're doing pretty good business with Keiji Muto. That might not be a bad idea. I don't know, man. I don't watch Noah though, so.
Yeah,
yeah, man.
I don't exactly know what to do with the IWGP title. I would say they should run some type of 4-person tournament for it, but they've effectively done that the last 2 fucking Tokyo Dome shows. So that's kind of
right.
So they've kind of fucked themselves in that situation. And you can't get all the way to because the G1 is in October this year, like how it was supposed to be last year, right?
Yeah, that's what we're thinking. We don't even really know, but that's what it seems like.
But even if it was in July, in August, like it usually is, that's still too far away to go with no champion. Or at least I imagine it would be for them because they love to strip a motherfucker for a belt and immediately crown somebody within a month after it's been determined that this person can't defend or get back into the country. So I guess for me, they don't have really good options. You can always just go back to Naito. You can always just go back to
Ibushi. You could. I'm not saying you should. You could.
I mean, I think that stinks narratively. Oh, you lost the belt. Oh, let's give it right back to you. Whatever, it's fine. It's fine.
There's also a lot of the arguments I made for Suzuki could also apply to Tanahashi, and kind of the exact same situation. If you wanted to put the title on him, so that he could be the guy to drop it to somebody else, that is a possibility that exists.
Putting it on Tanahashi at this point is when they did the 2014 Money in the Bank with Cena. It was like, oh shit, Daniel Bryan's gone. Cena, you go out there and get destroyed by Brock Lesnar. You. So sure, Sure, like I'm never gonna say you're never gonna make a bad. It's never a bad play, even at this stage, still to go back to the ace, right? But I don't know. I don't know how you get it back to Okada, even if that is the main concern, which was getting it to a Tokyo Dome in the summer and getting getting the belt from Ospreay to Okada. Like, I don't like you cannot, or I imagine you just cannot do another Tokyo Dome main event with Tanahashi and Okada again. Because there was. I mean, they kind of ran it. They kind of ran it out of its course. Like they put that shit on the first night of Dallas 2 years ago.
Can they just do Okada and Naito again?
They could.
Do Okada and Naito again?
They could.
I think that was going to be the game plan. To be honest with you, like if everything that's expected to have happened really occurred, it's believed Okada would have won the belt. Naito wins the G1. They rematch at the Tokyo Dome. That's a huge drawing match, and then most likely Okada would have retained. It'd been their fourth Tokyo Dome match, right? Right. Yeah. So that's kind of what's to be believed. Here's the thing: is like I don't think Okada needs to win the title in the Tokyo Dome specifically. So I mean, if you did do Tanahashi and him, you could do it prior to the G1 if you really wanted to get there early. You know.
My main thing with Okada is like, are we going to get can we get his back straightened out before it's time for him to come and actually carry the company?
Also,
I think
can he shake COVID also?
There's also that, yeah.
I think the reports of him having like slip discs were greatly exaggerated from what we understand. Not to say he doesn't have back issues, but like the idea that he was wrestling with like, you know, full on slip discs and all that.
No, I don't think it was I don't think it was straight up Dalton Castle from no
the
freaking back brace.
That seemed to be like a classic case of New Japan,
who Okada learned
exaggerating.
From.
Yeah,
he learned
Tanahashi.
From Tanahashi. Go ahead and tell him that it hurts a little bit, get a little time off, and then you come back fresh. And look, Okada win. Look, I got a scenario. You know, Okada wins, beats Naito the Rainmaker. All the LIJ stands cry, and then Shota Umino comes out. Yeah, and then Shota Umino comes out and challenges Okada and run it the next month, just like Okada challenged Tanahashi. Make a new ace.
How far along is Shota in his excursion now? I've been seeing him with the clean gear, but like how long has he been like working that gimmick?
Well, I mean, he hasn't wrestled in over a year because of COVID, so we don't really know. Like he was only there a couple months before the pandemic started.
Okay.
We just got to make sure it doesn't go back to evil at any cost.
Oh hell no, that's done. They'll never do that again.
I made a joke to Rich, and I was like, "Yeah, if Red Narita is Shibata and Shota Umino is Tanahashi, then Master Wato is Nakamura."
Oh my god! Wow.
But one thing that I feel like is needs to be discussed. We could probably move off the subject afterwards. You know, and I'm not trying to say one side is more wrong than the other because we don't really fully know. The details are still coming out.
Right.
But if hypothetically Ospreay was able to compete and was told to stay in the country and he left and he's seen as kind of like a quote-unquote locker room leader and there's all this, you know, gaijin unrest and people talk about leaving in January and he like set the example. I don't know if he ever does work with New Japan again, and if he does, I don't think they ever put their title back on him.
Yeah, like, if that's a situation where, especially given how, for lack of a better word, I'm going to say petty, or just like, you know, memories like elephants. Like when it comes to New Japan, if you fucking them over, they'll never forget that shit.
If you honor your contract and leave the company after your contract expires, they'll fuck around and not try to bring you back.
Oh, are we talking about The Office, or are we talking about like Gato, or are we talking about like the fans? Because like
two of the three,
okay.
I think Gato's just fine.
Okay,
I'm pretty sure at some point they're bringing Omega back. But
I mean, at this point, you might need, hey,
they got it. They got it.
Need to get your ass on the phone and say, "Hey, how about you come collect this goddamn belt? We need, please, we have royally fucked this, and the pandemic has fucked us
We're
up.
so sorry.
We have no idea.
so
that
sorry.
like this. Like think about this, right? Like
We apologize.
Kenny Omega left in retrospect at the perfect time. Because obviously he didn't know the pandemic was going to fuck them up. He obviously didn't know the pandemic was going to cause
The wheels came off that bitch.
But the pandemic has exacerbated, and this is true for like a lot of wrestling, most wrestling, to be honest with you. Like, because so many curveballs get thrown at you in rescheduling, it fucks up so many people's. It has fucked up so many people's booking, and we'll talk about that whenever we talk about Stardom next time we talk about Stardom, right? But when it comes to all the stuff that's happened to them, all it took was them to make one bad mistake, was an evil thing, and all this shit has snowballed and compounded itself in ways it's like, it's imaginable. Like, who would have thought that you have one bad title reign and then, well, it's really two things. It's that and plus the change of belt lineage. But it's like, who knew that like one bad title reign will really spring off all this stuff to where it just now it's just like, my God. But like Omega, he left, and then you're like, okay, so like obviously New Japan has the best wrestling in the world, but they still have this chase that they can do with Ibushi and all that kind of stuff. And then they do it, and then they undercut it, and then whatever, matches are still great, whatever. But then he loses after one defense, which, you know, he's a first-time champion. First-time champions in New Japan don't have long reigns. That's fine. Now we're here, and it's like, okay, so you lost Kenny Omega. You have Okada's hurt. Naito is, by the grace of God, didn't tear his ACL this year. Hiromu got hurt. He's gone for a long ass time.
Ibushi's hurt.
Ibushi's hurt as well. I forgot about that part.
Some with his foot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The people you were trying to elevate last year absolutely did not get to that point with Sonata and Evil, right? And the only real option you have that's never been champion, or the only two options you have that's never been champion, one is in his mid-40s, and the other one's Shingo. And
Suzuki.
Yeah, Suzuki as well. Yeah, sure.
And with Jay White, they've kind of stagnated him.
They've overdone it. They put him in every big spot imaginable over the last 2 years. It is what it is. They can make him champion again, but it's like he's not going to be a bigger star because of it.
Well, the real problem is he was a bigger star just a few months ago, like at the beginning of the year when his contract was being speculated on. And he did
nothing with it.
They really fumbled the ball because he was the hottest thing in the industry for like 3 weeks, and then they brought him back and they didn't do anything with it. So, yeah, it's kind of a mess. The one thing I will say, though, is with Will, let's just say hypothetically he does come back. He is in kind of a unique position because he has some leverage in the sense that he had the hottest faction in the company. He was being poised as the number one bad guy, and there really is nobody on a physical level that can do the things he can do. And they,
of all the like the people that they can bring in for a big show, like a Moxley, like a Jericho, as far as the box office, he's one of the few people they have that like you put them in there and do that or whatever else. So that's the thing. Like with Ospreay, with this Ospreay going left too, is like now you're in the shitter because like the person that's supposed to quote unquote replace Omega and fill that role is Ospreay, and now that's fucked seemingly.
Yeah, and that's the point I was about to make. They set him up they protected so many matches with him that they've got so many on the docket that over the next 2 to 3 years are all available. Guys he's never wrestled or guys he's never wrestled in a major main event spot. And they set that up specifically for him. I will tell you this. I don't want to judge anyone's situation. I don't know. Maybe there's things we don't know about, but like when you compare his situation, and I'm only doing this because Rich keeps comparing the two, but when you compare his situation to like Kenny's, and who knows what another person would do in Will's situation, but like those people that really hated on Kenny and them for leaving, they probably should like analyze this thing when it's all said and done and take a look at it, because if he really is gone, like, this company put a lot of eggs in that basket, and if it's not going to pan out, like, this hurts them at a time when they're, like, really down. Like, it's not, you know, maybe some of it's the company's fault for sure, because we're hearing some pretty troubling stories about the way that they're communicating and some of their business practices, but, like, damn, like, this really fucking hurts the company if he's actually gone. Like, bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, if Jay White is your top gaijin,
it's not the same.
good luck. Like, no, he's a great wrestler, but no, he is not. Will Ospreay is not Kenny Omega.
I think too.
Well, you know, a lot of people aren't. So I mean,
right now, Jay White is probably regretting that he's the Never Champion, because if he wasn't the Never Champion, he probably would be one of the guys on the short list to get the next title run. So I don't know what they're going to do.
We're gonna have to see. I would advocate for Tomohiro Ishii to go ahead and get it, and then he can drop that bitch, but make the fans feel good. Get some positive energy into what y'all got going on, because all it's been is negative for a year, and it's just like, yo, he's right there. Do it before it's too late.
I think people would see that as like
the best part is given Suzuki's age. He's like, yeah, like do it before it's too late. They might have 5 more years to do this.
We will see. It's crazy stuff, man.
Yeah, man. So even crazier stuff. They finally went ahead and did some more cuts. This time it was NXT. Primarily, I want to focus on the Q Dog himself, Drake Wirtz, and Velveteen Dream. Just like the Drake Wirtz thing.
Hey, you know that like the Road Dogg is in fact also the Q Dog. And I don't mean Omega Sci-Fi either.
Yeah. Drake Wirtz is already booked to wrestle on a show in Orlando in June. It's some Save the Children benefit show. Unbelievable. So now we have Q Pro Wrestling damn near.
Do you think he's going to be he was a deathmatch guy, right?
Yes.
No,
so
I didn't know.
You think he's going to be like putting himself through barbed wire and glass like for the children, like
anything for the children.
Like, what the fuck?
Anything for the children. Yeah, long overdue. We knew this guy was absolutely nuts when he was showing up to those county commission meetings on the Zoom calls in the NXT gear, spouting off about masks and predators liking masks on the children. And at that point, I feel like there's no return for this stuff. Apparently, there have been issues with him going back as far as like 11 months, like right after the George Floyd stuff, where he was, storming out of meetings with Triple H.
Yes, he was storming out of diversity and inclusion meetings or whatever else. Triple H was filming.
I heard a first-hand account this weekend of what happened during that meeting, to be honest with you. So I can't name any names, but basically the way that they described it to me is they're like, they called it a diversity and inclusion or whatever, but like they pretty much were like talking about like BLM and like how the superstars need to kind of like support that on like their social media and stuff and like, be more inclusive. And when he heard BLM, he just fucking freaked out and was like, all lives matter. This is bullcrap. All lives matter. And that's when like everything like went down. So, and I heard this from someone that was in the meeting, and then that's when he almost got into the fight with I forget the talent's name, but they cut him too.
EJ Maduka.
Yeah,
a gentleman that I hope the factory gets, QT gets his hands on, because my God,
bro,
he's like
Drake Younger had to be like shitting himself if like that guy was trying to run it with him, because he would have beat the brakes off of him.
He's like bigger than Lex Luger. Like, or he's as shredded as Lex Luger and the size of Braun Strowman, they say. So, like, bro, what you supposed to do with that?
That sounds like the beginning of an incredible promo. Like, you name different attributes of yourself compared to stars of the past. Bigger than Lex Luger, more luscious than.
Yeah. That's some shit a manager would say about you. Yeah.
It would be like the genius Lenny Poffo would be saying that about somebody.
Yeah.
Okay.
But what do you guys make of them finally dropping the hammer on old Drake? And like, I don't know, this whole situation has been horrible from an optics standpoint.
I think it's pretty simple. I think that they were waiting for a time where they could cut everybody so that they could batch him in there. That way there's plausible deniability if he ever tries to sue them, which I think is probably one of the first things he's thought about doing. And they are able to say, no, this was routine budget cuts. We let like 5 or 6 people go. It was, it had nothing to do with his political views.
Yeah, I believe, James, didn't you find some interesting information on Twitter with the wiki?
Oh, my God. Yeah, this wasn't something that I found. I think it was Bixenspan. He had said that, like, somebody had entered in something about him being some political firing into his wiki, which, Wikipedia is well known for, like, people go through and re-edit shit to make sure things are up to date all the goddamn time. That's how you get all them jokes and stuff when something funny happens in a sports league where someone gets, dunked on or whatever else. And it only lasts for like a split second, so you got your screenshot up as fast as you can. So, they said that, he said he was something like a political firing or whatever else by WWE or a victim of cancel culture or some shit like that. And then, like, the person that edited, like, the person's IP address, like, it so happens to be in Seminole County, Florida. What do you fucking know? Like, Seminole County, exactly like the same place where we see him doing these videos crying about all these QAnon conspiracies. Like, yeah, like, chance. What are the odds, right? That it would be the same county. Like, either that's one of his friends, that was his missus as his life, or that was him. Of course, I hope for his sake it was actually him, opposed to like he's hanging around suckers like that are that weak.
They'd be like, yeah, we already got you covered, Drake.
Yeah,
don't even worry about it. We already got the right story out there.
Yeah, by going into the wiki, they can set this record straight. The wiki.
Yeah. Good riddance.
For me, yeah, good riddance. Like, for me, like, even before I found out about him being QAnon or hardcore white ring extremist, whatever you want to call it, like
a Proud Boy, also.
Yeah, like on TV, I never liked him. Like, WWE, especially WWE, has this weird thing with, like, they love doing these spots to counter momentum in matches. The swing momentum where refs get in the way, like, you kick too much ass, so, like, the ref stops you from kicking more ass. Like, just physically gets in the way. And, like, the way he will react with these wrestlers, if, like, he's a tough guy. It's like, dude, like, I'm sorry, you were not stopping Keith Lee. He's twice your size. Get the fuck out the way. And, like, but it would always be like, like, frustrating, like, move. I know what this spot is. I hate this spot. It happens, like, 2 times on every show. Get the fuck out the way. And but when he would do it, it'd be, like, so exaggerated, like, no. It's almost like it's almost like one of those angry cop situations, like, respect my authority. If you don't get the fuck out my face before I had to turn this to a Keith Lee versus Drake Younger match, or whatever, Drake Worst match. But anyway.
So you telling me, James, this man has cosplayed as a referee, to act as a cop?
Yes.
Damn near.
That's the way his histrionics are as a ref. Yes, it's fucking annoying. So I've never liked him. I've always hated the fact that he was like their head ref in NXT or whatever else, because he was always mad annoying, and they would always do these spots where he would show his angry man syndrome will pop out. So then this all stuff comes. I was like, oh, this makes sense. Like that all fits in line with that makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of overlap on the Venn diagram of that. Like, so then he gets fired and is like, hey man, whatever. Like,
hollow.
Yeah, later. So whatever, man. Like,
Velveteen Dream also let go.
Jesus Christ, long time coming. Could have done this over a year ago.
Like, think back to 2017. This guy looked like one of the fastest rising stars in wrestling.
Yep.
He had a great gimmick. He had seemingly, he was good enough to be carried to good matches and put in his part as well. And then it seems like, his in-ring performances just started declining, and it became very noticeable and like a thing that you really didn't want to say out loud. Like, hey man, Velveteen something ain't right.
He was basically from his first takeover match against Aleister Black in I think that was War Games 2017 or basically late 2017, right? He has that match, and then he keeps having like very good matches and performances with an array of people on TV, with Gargano on Worlds Collide, with people like Tyler Bate or whatever else. Didn't matter. We saw him on the house show.
Great house show performer too.
Right. Have great matches, and he was the United States North American champion. They lost it, and he got hurt in that match. Hurt doing an angle with Roddy. And then he came, and then he was gone. And then when he came back at the beginning of 2020, he was completely done. It was like another wrestler. It was like, what happened here? Like, he was complete. He went from somebody that, like you mentioned, can be carried with somebody that's a veteran and have great matches. Somebody that, and all that kind of stuff. And, the only thing that you look at, technically with him at the time was like, he sells maybe too cartoonishly because his influences are like Rick Rude and Mr. Perfect and shit, or like his punches sucked. But outside of that, you can work around that kind of thing, right? And then he came back and he's working with Adam Cole and it just stunk, and he's working with Roddy and it stunk, and it wasn't their faults. They were just bad, and the angle was bad, and then all the stuff came out, and then more stuff came out when Speaking Out came out, and it was like, well, fuck it, he needs to be gone. And they tried to do the same thing with Austin. They're doing the same thing with Austin Theory, where it's like, we'll bring him back on TV, but we'll bring him back on TV, and hopefully we'll put him in punishment so the fans will forgive him by having him just job all the time. And it's like, nah, bro, we don't want to see him job. We want him off fucking TV, right?
I don't think as many people are quite as aware of everything with Austin Theory as as how. Kind of out there in the limelight, the stuff with Velveteen was. Because
Velveteen was a bigger star and there's way more stuff. Like, right. Austin Theory is the one Instagram thing with him and a 13-year-old, right? And I make jokes about it every single time we bring up Austin Theory because, like, I see the problem, see what they see. He shouldn't be on fucking TV. So,
and that same individual that he was messaging, the Evolve champion, what's his name? Josh Briggs. He was also outed by the same person. Exact same person. Yeah.
Yeah. Josh, what do you make of Velveteen's descent from where he was in 2017 to now being fired, essentially?
There's literally a time where I would have said Velveteen was probably my favorite guy on the NXT roster. I mean, did I think he was as good of a worker as Roderick Strong or Johnny Gargano or Tommaso Ciampa? No. But as far as just someone that brought to the table what I like in wrestling, the theatrics and the over the top, the
80s and the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, it was just fucking incredible. I don't even want to, and I feel bad even praising him for it. That's kind of where I'm at this point. There was a time where I could have waxed poetic for 20 minutes.
We all liked him. We all liked him a lot. All of us.
Really liked Velveteen. But then, as soon as the stuff started coming out, I was just like, oh, he did this.
Yeah.
I heard the voice clips. I saw the pictures. I saw the verified. The timelines, everything.
Look, ain't nobody's Photoshop that damn good.
Yeah, and there's been several different allegations. It wasn't just one. There was, there's two that are real well known that he's addressed recently, but there was more than two at the time. So yeah, this dude did this shit, and this company covered it up, and Triple H, he was Triple H's boy. He got protected, and his coworkers and colleagues, they didn't want to work with him. There's
like
rumors of substance issues.
That ladder match. Oh yeah, rumors of substance issues, and you guys remember in that ladder match when they were being surrounded by the performance center trainees that weren't allowed to sit down or whatever, and Velveteen would go up there and be involved in like a 6-man match. He would come out, they would get no reaction. Like it was just like it was a bad scenario for everyone around, and quite frankly, he
crashed his car too.
He crashed his car before.
I don't
this
know
isn't the first time.
I don't know what that's related to. People had speculations of what this could mean as far as the substance abuse stuff. So people did like try to put those two together, but I don't know if they ever quite connected.
It was never official, but people who seem to feel strongly about the subject claim that that's what it was connected to.
Mm-hmm.
They WWE's covered up child sex stuff in the past, in the 80s and 90s, as Josh would tell you. And this kind of falls underneath that.
And brought some of them back too.
Yep. And it's a real shame what this dude did, because it's all his fault. Like, I don't know where he goes from here. I don't know if he's going to continue wrestling. He put out a strong statement on his IG today, and of course he's kind of a weirdo, so he put it out sideways, and everyone had to screenshot it, and it was weird how it got passed around and everything. But he's still denying the allegations a year later, but never really spoke on it before.
I thought what he did was interesting because he broke kayfabe entirely to make that comment, and spoke in a very direct and professional sounding way, but then everything is stylized, and it's like, why are you stylizing this and making it sideways like you're the dream? But then, addressing us as Patrick Clark, being like, this is not in character. Like, why are you still adding your theatric flair?
And he said basically he blamed the deed on being in character or whatever when he was doing this thing where he's talking to these people on Instagram and shit, and it's like,
that's not honestly.
It sounds like some Hulk Hogan, Terry Bollea type bullshit.
That's not really what I got from it. What I got from it was that he claims it was a hit job. He claims that they both lied, and that once WWE started looking into it, both of his accusers disappeared, and he tried to give his side of the story. And you know what? It sounded to some degree plausible, but this guy's had a year to think over long and hard how.
And it wasn't just two people; it was just two notable people.
Yeah, he didn't address
notable accusations, whatever you want to call it.
That's in hindsight, he's not addressing the fact that there is more than just those allegations, but he's just chose these two to particularly single out. And the other thing too is his version of the story is not corroborated. It's just what he's putting out there. I feel like if he had put this out there while it was happening to at least address it, and maybe WWE could have put a stamp of approval on it, said whether or not it was the findings that they had, that would have been something completely different. But nobody, I don't think anyone with a brain is reading this and thinking that this is as plausible as it might sound, that it's actually based in reality. It's pretty much, to me, sounds like a work of fiction. And it sounds like something that someone does, when they want to victim blame way after the fact to try to spin the narrative.
Yeah, and that's the thing that's the issue when it comes to these bigger somebody that belongs to or is in some institution, relying on the institution to stand by them to then lend whatever credibility that institution has onto the person. It happens all the time, whether it's Jameis Winston in Florida State, or whether it's whether it's Deshaun Watson in the NFL in Tennessee, the Houston Texans, whether it's Kobe Bryant in the LA Lakers, whether it's that happens all the time, whether it's WWE and all stuff you heard before. People are, Matt Riddle right now with WWE is and then you have idiots coming out of the woodwork talking about, this particular brand is standing by them, their board. There has to be some presumption of innocence. It's nah, man, they just trying not to get sued for unlawful firing. Nah. So
protect the asset.
Right. So but people fall for that shit all the time, and that's why over the past, what would that be, or about a year now, over the past year or so, when this shit started coming up and popping up. That's why, like, every time someone's on TV that's been exposed for fuckery, I've pointed it out every time we mention it. I'm not going to let it slide as if, like, it's every day and let people forget, like, it's just some business usual shit. Like, nah. Like, Austin Theory does this for another, I don't know how long we've been doing this podcast. For as long as we're doing this podcast, we will be talking about Austin Theory, and we will put in the disclaimer, like, yes, that man has been linked to fuck shit. So, I don't know what that means for...
This man is possibly a cooey, James.
Yeah, well, now you're going to make me explain what a cooey is. You're going to make me explain what a cooey is.
Nope.
I'm not going to explain what a cooey is.
Look, we are not going to explain... No, we are not going to explain this. The audience is just going to know exactly what we're talking about, and it is going to be our own language.
Use context clues. Just use context clues.
Y'all know what a cooey is.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
So basically, I guess, whatever, man. Velveteen Dream.
Yeah,
I guess we go like the who's next thing of the releases, because there are other people as well. Anybody notable? Because I don't remember the releases. I only saw those two.
Yeah, there were.
Okay.
Enjoy Infamy, Velveteen Dream.
How do you spell Cooey?
Vanessa Bourne. Oh, it's not on the Urban Dictionary, Josh.
No,
that's exactly where I'm at.
God. It's an inside joke, not a it's not an AAVE thing. It's an inside joke thing amongst whatever. But you know what it means based on just context clues. Like yeah.
All right, so Vanessa Bourne's gone.
Matt Gaetz might be a cooey.
Right,
it's a great chance that Matt Gaetz is a cooey.
I think that's pretty much proven.
Look, once he ends up in court, then I'll feel comfortable with just being like, once it's all out there, I'll be like, not just probable, definitely he did that shit. Buddy finna snitch on him. Buddy is definitely finna snitch. Have you heard about that?
Man.
Have you heard about that?
Yeah.
33 charges.
I had to go register himself.
33 charges that tax collector dude from Seminole County. Seminole County, right? 33 charges. He is pleading to 6 of them. And they say that if he lies on the stand and perjures himself, them other 29 come right the fuck back. They are not playing with that man lying on the stand because they can't trust him. They finna make sure they finna get Gates the fuck out the paint. Anyway, they can move on.
Registered. Put a red dot on his house.
Wow.
Put a sign in the front yard.
Wow. Gotta knock on doors and have unpleasant conversations and shit.
Yeah, has to tell everybody in the neighborhood.
Hey, just so you know, what fuck you mean? What? You what? Hey, especially that conversation. Hey, just moved in.
Get the fuck off my doorstep.
Exactly. Get the fuck out of here before I hurt you, bro. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Oh man. So other people that were released, Vanessa Bourne. This ain't the same old WWE because you would think she would have easily assimilated into things as it goes, but
good promo.
They did nothing with this woman.
Good promo. Obviously an attractive woman. She had a sex pot character. She had a Mean Girls character when she was doing the tag team with Aaliyah. That's been going for a long time. Main roster. There was some talk of a main roster call up, but it never came to fruition. It was very similar to like the Chelsea Green
called up, never debuted.
Yeah, like get called up and then never used. It was I take that back because Chelsea Green actually got squashed on TV a couple times, but whatever. Like she wasn't used in the way that like a call up normally is used. So it is really weird that, like, people get moved up and then, like, not used, and it's just more of the, the function of that machine that's going on.
I'll tell you this much. Johnny Ace never got to see her because if she'd gotten in front of Johnny Ace, she would have been on the main roster.
I'm unaware of John Laurinaitis rumors and
No, it's just that back when he was running the talent, like he was the one who brought up all like the good-looking like supermodel chicks and the ones The ones who weren't
like
the
the
athletes.
Diva Search stuff. Like
yeah, he was. He was one of the Diva Search guys. So like, if he saw her, he
clearly didn't see her.
She'd be on Raw right now.
Well, I mean, even Rhea's back, so
that's true.
Yeah, they had to. Alexander Wolf is gone, and that was kind of a shock. And I hear a lot of people are high on this guy, and he's probably going to make some noise, actually, because some people get released and be like, maybe they're not really cut out for the wrestling, but this dude was a wrestler, so he's going to be right back on the grind. It looks like.
Right.
See, my thing is, and it was weird when they got rid of him because he was in the middle of a storyline that was on TV. Right,
right.
He was in the middle of the fourth member of Imperium, and they were working on the Drake Maverick and the Killian Dane possible breakup / tag team thing for Imperium, and they were playing on the thread of Killian Dane and Alexander Wolf were go back to the Sanity days, and what is going to be one of those who's going to make a decision on who's basically leaving their partner to go join the other side, more or less. And then they were set up for a match between Alexander and I believe it was Dane, and they advertised it, and then they said it was off, and I think they noted the injury. It was more like obviously kayfabe, but they were doing it. Obviously, we're talking about really low stakes shit, but they were doing it, and then all of a sudden, next thing you know, it's really weird for WWE to have something on TV, and then just within 2 weeks, that person's gone. That's very rare. Last time it may have happened was probably Big Cass? Yeah, Big Cass.
Maybe. Yeah. They also had Jessamine Duke. She got released, so we no longer have to hear people with their fantasy booking the 4 horsewomen versus the 4 horsewomen threads. All that shit's over. It's her and Marina have never really assimilated to the wrestling side of this. Maybe as a function of I don't know what it could be, but she had been doing some work with Twitch and streaming, but you had to figure that that's not gonna last so long. That's just gonna dry up quick, and they never really got used as anything other than goons.
Jobber goons at that. Jobber goons. They never won.
Another interesting story, no pun intended, was Skylar's story, the former Brandy Lauren on the Indies.
You mean the current Brandy Lauren?
The current Brandy Lauren.
I think this is more of a name because of your familiarity with her on the local Indies. But we continue.
Well, I mean that's not entirely true.
She was on Shimmer. No, she was on Shimmer when we went to New York. She was on the card though.
Yeah, but Brandy's also been featured heavily on Evolve. She was in Ring of Honor. She was in Impact. She's been everywhere. I'm not saying she's ever made a huge mark. Probably her most notable work was the recent work she'd done in Evolve just prior to getting signed with WWE.
Yeah.
Especially when she got featured on that 10-year anniversary Wrestling Shotzi Blackheart, I believe. But yeah, it's not like people don't know her. Yeah, we're a little more familiar here in the Florida area because she trained with Jay and everything like that. But I mean, she's been all over the country and been to other countries too. So
yeah, so she had only been around for 6 months, never did a match. Shotzi Blackheart ironically put out a tweet that said, "Yeah, I just helped Brandy Lauren move in her apartment last week, and now she's moving out of Orlando." I'm like, man. So she never made it to TV. Ezra Judge, we mentioned him earlier. He's huge. He's probably 6'6", 6'8", 275. Incredible look. If he has a lick of aptitude for this at all, with that, his type of athleticism, I believe he has a 42-inch vert. Somebody get him in somebody's training school, in somebody's gym, and figure it out. Something clearly went awry here. Kavita Devi, YouTube Indian sensation. She was getting 500 million views in all from India, but
I wasn't expecting that bitch.
She was getting lots of views from India, I guess she just didn't make it for whatever reason. And then there was another referee thrown in there just so they could say, "See, we released 2 referees." So, yeah.
Wouldn't that suck that you have to get fired as a referee if you're let's just say you're really good at your job, but they got to get rid of somebody because they have to, have deniability, so they got to fire 2 of you. That would suck.
That would fucking suck.
That sucked bad.
Man. Yeah, man. But without further ado, so Double or Nothing card. Let's run it down. We've got the Casino Battle Royale for a future AEW World Championship match. Of course, the big gimmick is who's the mystery man here. So I'll go through the names that are announced. We got Christian Cage, Matt Sydal, Josh's trainer, Powerhouse Hobbs, Penta El Zero Miedo, Jungle Boy, Matt Hardy, Mark Quinn, Isaiah Cassidy, The Blade, Evil Uno, Colt Cabana, 10, Griff Garrison, Pillman Jr., The Acclaimed, QT Marshall, Nick Comoroto, Dustin Rhodes, and Lee Johnson. Who's the mystery man?
Daniel Bryan.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
I'd love if he was the mystery man. Do I think it's him? Probably not, but there are a lot of names out there. What if it's Andrade?
It's a possibility.
I would think the names that would be realistic that will get a lot of buzz. That Andrade is probably the best name. Leo Rush could be a name. I don't know. Those are the 2 that immediately come to mind. Obviously, the one everybody wants is Daniel Bryan. I'm like, why would you? If it were me and you had Daniel Bryan, I am not putting him in a battle royal to go wrestle 20 other guys to go win a title shot. I am just bringing his ass out right after the main event or right after the title match, and then saying, "Hey, here you go," and then integrate him by having him smoke a couple people, and then go from there over the next 2, 3, 4, 5 months.
Yeah, I would say the same thing about Andrade. I feel like there's a better way to bring him in than being the extra guy. There's some interesting names that do exist out there that are possibilities. Samoa Joe is out there.
Yeah.
Chris Hero is out there. You brought up Leo Rush, another independent star with a big name. ACH is out there. That's a possibility.
Yeah.
Because they don't have to have the biggest name for this spot, Last year it was Matt.
Could be somebody coming off an injury, so
that's a possibility too. Yeah.
Who do you think will be coming off an injury around this time, or who's about ready to come back?
No idea.
I don't remember anybody really being injured like that.
Out of sight, out of mind. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But up next, those things are usually good. So up next, there's a singles match between Hangman, Adam Page, and Brian Cage. This is a rematch of their match a couple weeks ago from Dynamite, and this is a nice addition to fill out the card, I think. Something in the undercard is 12. They get 12 to 15 minutes, and we know Brian Cage ain't got a problem doing the moves, and this is some good adversity for Hangman to fight through, I think. What are you guys thinking about this match?
I liked the TV match quite a bit. I understand why they're doing this because the whole story was that although Cage beat Hangman, it was he attacked him before the bell, and the interference and everything like that. So they're trying to see if he could beat him fair and square. But I mean, that was probably the cleanest big win that Cage had in the company up to that point. People were complaining that Team Taz never wins. I kind of wish that would have propelled him to something else as opposed to a rematch, because it looks like he's probably going to have to give this win back. And it's what was the point? This is just a holding point for Page to get onto the pay-per-view and not, I don't know. I feel like they could have done something different with Cage personally.
Yeah, and there's also the part where it's you're doing that where you're going to have him give back whatever money he got from beating Adam Page by in the middle of him, teasing the cinch like he was going to like leave Team Taz. Maybe that's off now that Ricky Starks is, an active wrestler. But it was there for a while. So, yeah. I feel like Hangman has to win, but that's the consequences of having wins and losses matter. Somebody has to go down in order for someone to go up. So
I'm going to go the other way on this. I don't think Hangman has to win, especially when he cut the promo saying, this is essentially a double or nothing match. He was like, you took me out the number one spot, and if you beat me, I'm going to go even lower this time. So, Hangman can even descend even further.
Which makes sense because given the timing, it makes more sense for him to be on the back burner for longer. So if he does, yeah, you're right. That does make sense, but that crowd's going to be there, and they love them some drinking blonde guy. So,
Yeah. So, I think if you were to essentially, if Cage goes up here, goes over, then you essentially, now you got the crowds back, you starting Hangman, you starting the march now from the, hey, you will wrestle the Brooklyn Brawler. Like, this is it. So we've got a tag team match between Sting and Darby Allin against Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page. There's been a lot of good intensity, I think, in this feud that's been set up. They've thrown Darby down the stairs. Sting has gotten physical with Ethan Page. Has come to ruin Darby's life. He has come like a ghost from his past.
Old country beef.
Anytime those two, old country beef. So I hope at least do a singles match at some point because they do a death match because they got to beat the shit out of each other for everybody to see. Because like Ethan Page says, nobody saw that shit. So, yeah, man. Sting's first real match in like 6 years. What are we thinking about this?
I'll tell you one thing. There's no greater way that Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky could get heat on themselves than the two of them do a double power bomb into the turnbuckle on Sting. If they were to like put him up and do that power bomb into the turnbuckle, oh my god! Like I would probably like stand up and gasp and literally like be like, "Is Sting okay?"
They've got to. I think they've got to tease it and then have Darby like basically break it up, but tease it for sure. But what do you guys think Darby's reaction is going to be with this crowd? He obviously lost the TNT title to Miro, and I say the Sting Association has really helped him as you started putting it with Sting, started getting all these main events, and they all started drawing, and he, I don't know if you caught the show last week, but this is a race between Darby and Hangman at this point. And I think if anybody is discounting Darby from this, they are not paying attention to what's going on.
I don't like the narrative you're trying to spin because the way I remember it was Sting was coming out every week doing nothing, and this company didn't understand what they were doing, and they needed to figure this out because this shit was terrible. Had nothing to do with getting Darby over.
Yeah, we're still waiting for Sting to beat Kenny Omega to become AEW World Champion. Yeah.
Yeah, all types of bad faith, just there, and man, it seems like this thing has really worked out, huh?
It's almost like they saw what WWE does and just thought like they're going to do that when it's like, no, you don't have to do those sorts of things.
I think there's a large portion of the fan base that are not used to anything mattering after 4 weeks at all in the companies that they watch. They're not used to there being anything that goes beyond 4 weeks.
It's been nearly 6 months since they've laid eyes on each other, Sting and Darby Allin, and they feel like they're like, this is almost an institution. It's its own unit.
Yeah. What if Darby turns on Sting because it's it's pay-per-view, it's a tag team match? Someone got to turn on Sting, right?
The day Darby turns on Sting is like, oh my god, don't do this. Don't do this. I think Sting and Darby are winning. in, Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky. I think Scorpio Sky is getting submitted.
I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen here, but I'll tell you what, I'm not really that enthused about the Scorpio Sky Ethan Page unit. I get why they're doing it because
I think hate Darby.
Yeah, they hate Darby, and long term, Scorpio's going to get turned on by All Ego, and that's going to be the impetus for his, big baby face push again, hypothetically. But I don't know. They just seem I'm just not into
that baby face push. Ain't fucking happening, man.
I'm just not in. I'm not into it. I'm not into them as a group. I guess I enjoy them.
A lot of people say that they have no chemistry together. I'm like, I feel like I'm watching something different. Because I see their promos on Elevation or
Bro, no one watches
them
that
on
shit.
Dynamite, and they're intense.
We only watch Dynamite, the rest of us.
Yeah, they were in the rafters together, and they threw Darby down the stairs together. I was like, that's cool. What's the big crime here?
No, it's not a crime. I'm just not hooked in. I have no reason to care about them.
Yeah, I don't. As far as their chemistry, that, I don't really see it as a problem. I just don't necessarily care because they're beating up a 12-year-old and a 60-year-old. You know what I'm saying? It's what the fuck? These two grown ass men in their primes are beating up a teenage sized adult, and they're beating up a 60-year-old adult with a bad neck. And I'm just all right, I'll probably find some enjoyment out of it. I don't care about those two. I care about Darby and I care about Sting. That's kind of where I'm at on it. So
right.
These two finally tag together. They could be tagging. No offense to Scorpio, no offense to Alan or to Ethan Page, but it's those two don't really matter.
Yeah,
they just got heat on these two, and that's all that matters. Is we want to see old ass Sting and young ass Darby beat these two guys and had a one match, and then we'll figure it out from there.
Yep.
Do you think there's anything more than that, really? I
think these two are they're big evils of the month.
Yeah.
I think that's the ultimate destination here. But
at the same time, though, I think that,
I don't know. I like Sky and Page.
I like both of them in theory. I don't like this act as a unit, but I think that the company sees a lot of upside in both of them. They're trying to figure out what to do with them, and down the road, I think they've got probably some plans in place. But I don't care about this.
Yeah, and that's what this team feels for. I'm not in or out on them either way. I just don't know. Yet. And over time we'll figure it out. But right now, whatever.
You know what kind of reminds me of? It's not quite the same, but I remember watching WWE TV in 2005 when Edge and Orton were rated RKO, and I was I could care less about this group. And I like both those guys, but I was this group sucks. They don't do there's no point to this.
That's funny.
So this is kind of like the junior AEW version of that shit,
Except it's Edge and Orton. We're talking about Scorpio Sky and motherfucking Ethan Page. I think they were way more higher of a priority than those two are right now to this company or to this promotion.
That's why I said junior. The junior version.
Okay. I thought you meant stature, size, and
no.
Right.
They're pretty big guys.
They're not both 6'4".
They're not that big, but they're big. They're bigger than Junior.
So we've got a singles match. We've got Cody Rhodes against Anthony Ogogo. So this whole thing is gone.
I'm kind of hyped for this.
I am very excited for the match too. I want Ogogo to beat him to sleep. Punch him until the ref stops the match. I'm talking if Cody wants to. Cody has free license with me on pay-per-view to bleed as much as he wants. Get this guy over as a fucking killer. You can cough up the blood. He can punch you in the face, and you can bleed. However you want to do it, Cody.
Me and Rich have a running gag where we try to keep track of every single territory-ism that Cody steals. We're wondering how many of them he has left in the bag, because eventually this man's going to run out of ideas to steal from the yesteryears. And this one right here, once I saw what they were doing, I was like, oh, they moved on from Bruno and Larry and moved straight into Rocky Johnson versus Jerry Lawler, boxer versus wrestler, because that's exactly what this is.
So Dave had said this was like Nikita Koloff too.
Yeah, well, there's the nationalistic aspect. So yeah, Nikita against Dusty. You know.
Damn. So that's 3. That's a couple in one, or in this whole angle, that's 3 in there.
He's amalgamating, just timelines,
mixing them all up. This is like Mortal Kombat, damn near. Multiple timelines converging here in one.
He's a sample producer.
Like, what kind of sample producer is he chopping it up like DJ Premier was unrecognizable, or is he just Hitmaker or the P Diddy and the Hitman?
He's very much Hitmaker, or like I want to say OG Parker. OG Parker does more. How about this? I'll give him more than Hitmaker. I would say he's like London. He's like London on the track.
Wow.
Yeah, like. Wow. Is more advanced than the Heatmaker stuff. The Heatmaker stuff is basically like a blatant rip, except for changing out drums and drum patterns. But like, yeah. So I'll give him Heatmaker. Heatmaker at least will throw a low pass filter on that bitch and change up like the rhythm of something a little bit. Yeah, I'll give him London on the track.
So, are y'all ready for this match? Because this is gonna be. It's going to be some type of event. They've got a weigh-in coming this week. Obviously, we know the detour that this thing inadvertently getting Anthony Ogogo even more popular, I would say.
Do you think it's inadvertent?
Yeah, I think it is 100%.
Yeah. I thought it was a total accident.
Maybe I'm giving Cody too much credit, but I think he knew what that promo was doing to some extent.
Nah, I don't think he has the self-awareness for that.
I mean, given the fact that he blades, every third match, maybe you're right.
My whole thing is like, sure, the less than stellar promo was there. That's kind of a knock on this. Then, there's the all the Codyisms that he tends to, all the bag of tricks that he likes to pull out of during his matches, the smoke and mirrors during big pay-per-view matches. This match has that going against it. And then we don't even know if Ogogo can really go. We've only seen him in a handful of matches. They've been very short, so we don't know. Yeah, super protected. All of that aside, I'll still tell you, I'm excited for this match because I love the drama and theater of professional boxing. And they've really done a great job. Like Rich mentioned, they had the weigh-ins. I think they're probably doing some sort of like press conference, and they have that like nationalistic feel. You got a guy from the UK coming over to fight the American Dream, and he's a killer. This guy from the UK.
Ogogo clearly gets it. Like he clearly gets it as far as how to talk people into the building. Like he's immediately imported that from boxing
and his
here.
Twitter
and if
game.
Nothing else, there's another great promo that's fell out of. There's another great promo that's fell out of the sky for this company, calling everybody piss boys.
There's the aspect where he can talk, but also he's one of the better guys in this company at doing it on social media as well. Like his Twitter game, it's not excessive, but the stuff he said on Twitter, it's all super believable. Like this guy is, he's got that dumb jock energy. And the idea that he might be able to go out there and just punch Cody and knock him out just flat kind of has me intrigued. I know the match probably isn't going to be good, but there's enough mystery there to where I'm like, are we going to see Cody get squashed?
So I think that there's no reason the match shouldn't be good, given that what he accomplished, given what AEW was able to accomplish with that Shaq mixed tag match. So. Once you do that, right?
Right.
And then you also see
Ogogo is literally in the unit with the trainer, and Cody trained him for a year or two.
Yeah,
this is a coming out party.
I don't want to. I think. I don't want to heap too much pressure on whatever they got planned, but give with that match, and then last year with McAfee
with Kane
Velasquez.
Yeah.
I don't think I saw any of those matches, so he
worked in the AAA match with Cain Velasquez, and they said that Cody really helped kind of carry him in that match. Make him look like a superstar.
You're right, and I did watch the match. I was thinking of the fucking Rock matches.
No.
The Fox stuff on SmackDown pay-per-view. My bad. Yes, in AAA, yes, Kane was actually good in that trios match. You're right. Yeah, like I think like given where we are with like if you have people that quote unquote get what pro wrestling is or are fans and have a passion for it, you can't get this done like Ronda was, regardless of however people feel about Ronda way out, like you can't say she wasn't a success as far as being able to be someone that had no particular, background in this like directly, and then like translating this into like a number of matches with some type of relative acclaim. So yeah, like I think this should be a match that Ogogo should win. Especially given that Cody loves to put every motherfucker under the sun over, except for QT. But there ain't no money in QT, so yeah, like this is the person to make. So go make him or try to, whatever.
I agree with every point you made. My only big concern is Cody's proclivity to lean into his worst tendencies on pay-per-view. That's my only big concern. Is like,
so your big concern is the same concern that everybody has about Cody Rhodes. Okay.
Yeah.
Like he might be on that bullshit. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if Ogogo loses this match, someone should be arrested.
Well, I don't know. I wouldn't take it that far. I think there's a good chance that like Ogogo doesn't beat him.
I can't wait until like the AEW preview where like Floyd's response is lock me up then.
Look, they're trying to have Cody sneak him with like a wrestling move. And,
oh my god! Yeah. Beat him with a backslide.
That's what's gonna, bro.
After the match,
Cody's gonna avoid all those punches, and at the very last second when he throws the big punch, he's gonna hook that arm, hook the other arm, and he's gonna backslide him, bro.
Oh my god!
Actually, no, that's not how it's
gonna. You guys think Cody is going to throw his dukes up and try to square up with the boxer?
Yeah, of course he is. He's going to try to hit the big elbow because he's the American Dream now. Now, here's what's going to happen. He's going to Ogogo's going to go for a big left hook. Cody's going to duck, and then he's going to put him in the sleeper and tap and put him to sleep right there in the middle of the ring.
Put him to sleep. Oh my god. I think I would be more offended by the backslide. Like I would just be like, "Get the fuck out of here!" Like, yeah.
To be fair, like I don't care. Care who wins or doesn't. I just think that it makes more sense to get Ogogo off the ground by having to beat Cody. Like,
he needs to beat Cody.
He didn't have to book this match.
Yeah, he needs to beat Cody. Like he should, and it would probably be a bad idea that he didn't.
For sure.
But it is Cody, so that's what I'm saying.
So we got a singles match for the AEW Women's World Championship. Hikaru Shida's taking her 1-year title reign into this match with the Doctor, Britt Baker. Last time they ran it was an excellent match, Norcross, Georgia, in the gym, and that was like a star-making night for Britt Baker.
It was so star-making. They said, "Hey, let's make her bleed again." The same. Yeah.
Shirts were on sale immediately, and she kind of has taken off since then. And that night, after that week, we knew that the match for this division again was Shida and Britt Baker, and someone is back a year later with the title on the line. A lot of people, Shida achieved her goal of going back into arenas with the championship, but feels like it's time.
It's time.
She's been through everybody. Britt's hotter than the sun right now. She's peaking, and I think, I think Britt's been ready.
Yeah, I think that, not to disparage any of the other girls around the roster because they've got a lot of talent there, but this company, when they had that initial press conference and they kind of unveiled that like Britt was supposed to be like the torchbearer and like the standard, for that division, I think they really lucked out. They have a tremendous talent, character-wise, wrestling-wise, improved so vastly over the past year. It's kind of crazy. And yeah, she's like, her act is like so fine-tuned. It is it's one of the major things that people really complained about the women's division is like, oh, there's a lot of good wrestlers, but there's not anyone that I can really get into character-wise. Well, like, Britt Baker's the answer for that, and we haven't really we had Nyla Rose as champion, but that's pretty short-lived. They haven't had a dominant, long-standing heel champion in that division yet. That's what Britt Baker's going to be, and it's going to be I don't know. It kind of reminds.
I think she's going to take up real estate too. It's not like, hey, Riho, go out there for 15 minutes,
right?
And then there's like nothing else, like or Ashita, go out there and have your great match. And we appreciate it, but like I think Britt's going to be a change of pace that is going to is flat out going to work better.
I see her championship reign being similar to the Cruiserweight championship title reigns that Jericho had, the way he was able to use that to elevate himself to an even higher level and develop these interpersonal feuds, which she's already been doing, but now the title's going to be involved. I think that's the right move, and it's been a long time coming, and we're finally there.
Yeah, I don't have any disagreement with anything you're saying. I just... I think the first match, I don't know. Like, I'm already kind of tired of the act. Like, she's still a great talker. There's more stuff she can do about it, but she can do with it. But it's like, all right, like, how many times do you have a promo about, like, you are the top star, so therefore, like, you will just rise to the top? Like, I feel like you're bringing kayfabe to me, so I'm like, okay, cool, like, great, all right. Like, she's a talented enough talker, and this is like her third variation or take on the character. So, like, I'm sure there's another one coming. I'm kind of just waiting for that part. But as far as like the time is past. Like, she could have been like after the Thunder Rosa match. It was like, all right, she has to be next champion.
Yeah, I think she gets a belt here. She probably walks into a summer feud with Thunder Rosa. If I had to bet some dollars on it. Shida is a champion. I guess we should eulogize her here.
Let's do that after the show, or let's do that. Let's say that for the show. Yeah. Like, let you like fuck around and win, and what we gonna do then?
Yeah,
be ass out. So, then we got the tag team match for the World Tag Team titles. We got the Young Bucks against Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston. This one has got lots of build going into it. They have formed this new team with Mox and Kingston to fall out of the pay-per-view last month and gave Matt and Nick some new singles guys to run through after they've been beating the brakes off the tag team division. What do you guys think is going to happen here? Is it time to switch the titles? Is it necessary to switch the titles? How do you guys feel about this one?
I think it might be a wise decision, but it feels like, I don't think in the main event we're seeing a title change, but if we're already changing the women's title, two title changes on the same night, I don't know, possibly. But I'm just thinking, like, from a booking standpoint, the Young Bucks have had the titles for a long time, obviously. Moxley and Kingston were just recently sort of adjacently involved with Kenny Omega, and you kind of need to get them away from that. And if they lose here, I don't know what you do with them next, but if they win, now they're in the title pick, now they're kind of like tied up in the title scene, and that you can remove them from this whole, super elite or whatever the clique is called sort of thing, and you can get them involved in other aspects to where, we're not having to rehash Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley again. And I feel like that might be the way they're going, especially with like how hot Moxley and Kingston are right now as an act. Conversely, the Young Bucks just turned heel recently, so even though they've had a lengthy title run, they haven't had a lengthy title run as heels. Like, this is kind of a new thing, so that's where it's kind of hard to call. I think they could go either way.
Right.
Yeah, but like the only real babyface team they have really... I can't even say that because, like, what baby faces are left aside from Moxley and Kingston now?
There's
Jurassic Express.
And then the Seidels.
I thought they already beat the Seidels.
And they already beat the Seidels.
Don't matter. They can run it back.
Yeah, they beat, like, they went up and down, like, this shit, like
the only team they really haven't beaten is, like, the Lucha Bros, but, like, they still pinned Phoenix. when they had the Death Triangle match. So it's like
they haven't beat Sting and Darby Allin.
No, Jesus Christ. I am not beating Jon Moxley to then put the belt like months later on to Darby Allin. I think that's hustling backwards.
Yeah. I think Moxley and Kingston makes sense to me. I don't know. What do you think, Rich?
I think the matches will be worse for the tag team titles if they go to Moxley and Kingston. Like, they'll be fine, but I think the Bucks are just operating on another level right now. Like, with how pressed they have people, there's still an FTR match out there. Like, if they can figure out an alignment, there's a Proud and Powerful match. I know they faced them once, but it was a face versus face match, I believe. I would go with the Bucks and have them pin Eddie Kingston and figure it out. Like, I don't think you need to necessarily cater to Moxley because he's so over, like, on his own. Like, you could spin him into literally anything else, I think. Like, you can spin him into Hangman, like, or whatever. Like, you know, I don't know. I think taking the belts off the Bucks would not be to their benefit, just because I think the Bucks are the best tag act they have, and taking the belts off of them now, I think it leaves them with a big wound, like, because like the belts are the things they're rubbing in people's faces along with the shoes, the outfits. It's all like a big package right now. It doesn't feel like they're like, I feel like someone needs to be made. Moxley and Eddie Kingston are not made with winning the belt here. Like, they're already like stars in their own right.
That's true, but they're not. They wouldn't be bad.
Would it be? It was not about making Mox as much as making Kingston.
That's kind of what I was thinking. You know, exactly that. Plus,
I don't care who wins one way or the other. Like, because like I quite frankly don't want to see Jon Moxley like cooped up with Eddie Kingston for long. But you know, because I'd much rather see him like fighting.
Why do you hate him so much,
Kingston?
Yes,
I don't hate him. I think he's one of the best promos in the world. But, like, he's a fucking loser. Why should I care? All he does is fucking lose. Except for when he's attached to Jon Moxley. And, like, his promos aren't that... I don't know if point, and his promos, like, in the last few weeks... It broke up. Sorry. Because all he does is fucking lose, and the only time he ever wins is when he's attached to Jon Moxley. So, like, I don't think he's a winner. Like, it's like Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez. Like, I like, obviously, you know, it's a little skewed because... in that situation, Raquel's a better wrestler. Dakota's a better wrestler, but it's like one person is clearly positioned and is presented as up here, one's way down here, and the only thing that's holding together is like their friendship. And it's like, all right, like their matches aren't going to be that good either compared to the Young Bucks, like you said. There's also that too. Like unless you're going to start breaking out, like okay, they go fight PNP and they go out and do some LAX shit. Okay.
I was just gonna say, I just think that the matches will be different. Like, obviously, you know, there's a lot of different styles and stuff that are brawlers, but I think their matches will be very good. Personally, I don't think that having them in your lineage hurts the lineage one bit either. I think that's a good addition to, you know, if you're trying to, you know, continue to have credibility with the tag titles. I just think from a booking standpoint, it just makes a little bit more sense. Because, like James said, like, who's the Young Bucks going to fight next after this? They don't have anyone keyed up.
I think they'll figure, whoever wins, they'll figure it out, right? As far as
they got time.
But my whole thing is like, all right, like, is this Moxley's your biggest star? So it's like, okay. He's in the tag, and then what? What's after that? Like, is he going to turn? Like, how are they going to spin out of that? I'm trying to think of hey, okay, do the title run. They lose to I don't know whoever. I don't know. Lose to Lucha Bros. Lose
FTR.
To FTR. Lose to the Proud and Powerful. Then it's like, all right, so he's gonna have a loose affiliation. And he's gonna get back into singles, and then you know, like he's. That's when they do the Cody thing. Is that when they do Hangman and, you know, get Hangman over by getting him a big win? I don't know, but it's like I know what those promos. That was one of the best babyface promo guys of the last like 5 years in pro wrestling, and like him doing his buddy thing with Kingston is lesser than. It just is. No knock, it's still very good, but John Moxley was out here smoking his bitch every week, and now he's doing funny stuff with his friend who also could be out here smoking his bitch every week too. He just be losing, but yeah, like some of this stuff for me is like, all right, whatever y'all want to do. Like they're talented enough to make whatever they do work, but it's like I think optimizing everybody. I think that you could be doing cooler things with Moxley, and like if this is to this was in service of that that stupid fucking thing that happened with the bomb not going off, and I said like they're trying to make the best of like such a shitty situation that happened to them. All of it, all the way around.
Yeah, I think.
Do you think Cody and Dustin could team back up?
Yes. Yeah, sure. Easily.
They're brothers. Sure.
Face the Bucks.
There's a lot of options for what they could do, and I think the one thing we're all kind of in agreement with is either way, whatever they spin off into, one way or the other, it's gonna work out.
Is there another tag? Is there a tag team that along this run from the Young Bucks that babyface tag team that they beat that like you think should get another run at them to eventually conquer them? Like, would it be now that like you have houses coming this way, you build towards Lucha Express again? I'm just saying Jurassic Express do that all the time. Sorry.
Jurassic Express, yeah, that's a possibility.
I think Luchasaurus being over, they did a lot of good work with Jungle Boy. Like that team is rejuvenated once you get the crowd like putting over Luchasaurus again.
Yeah, I mean the crowd's really behind them. I think that there's a possibility that you could get some of those guys from the Dark Order.
Yeah, Silver Reynolds.
Silver Reynolds.
Back. How far out is Silver?
He's back on BTE, so that's a good sign.
There's always Lucha Brothers. I mean, I know they did it, but it's been a little bit longer than I think people realize, and that's something they could go back to.
You know what? They could, because like they've only done 2 matches in AEW with Pentagon and Phoenix. So like the natural one would be do your 3rd match, and then it's for the AEW belts for the first time.
Right, but the thing is for me is like I'm not holding my breath that they're going to put over Phoenix and Pentagon when they've shown that they just don't want to do such a thing. So like that's kind of where I'm stuck. It's like, yeah, go out there and be like the 4th, like the second best act in the company in ring, but then like we're after you do all that great stuff, we're gonna fucking pin you, Phoenix. Like so, I'm like the same thing when it comes to like the Scorpio Sky push that we were talking that was happening, and where it was like, it's been months now. Like, can I see something more than just like some inklings of the shit's going to happen, or is it actually going to happen?
Yeah, if I was betting money, I would put it on Moxley and Kingston. That's where I'm at with this, and I don't usually count out the Young Bucks, but that's kind of my opinion.
I mean, and to be fair, like the idea of like Moxley, Kingston, and Penta and Phoenix doing some garbage. No, I mean garbage. I don't mean it like negatively. Like doing some death match, like that'd be cool as fuck. Like a Pentagon Moxley match is a marquee match on a I almost said a takeover on a quad annual pay-per-view. They just haven't done it yet.
New England Wrestling, I believe, booked that match once, so they have experience working together. So, Miro versus Lance Archer for the AEW TNT Championship. Looks like the B block is starting early here. As soon as Lance Archer came charging out, I was like, "Oh my god!" I knew what was next. I didn't know it was going to get booked that fast. They heated it up real nice with a promo on Dynamite where I thought they both had nice little clever lines. This should just be a war, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to know exactly what to expect because even though Miro was in WWE and worked with a lot of bigger guys, I can't really recall personally too many guys with the kind of frame and stature that Lance has. I've seen Lance work with guys Miro's size, but it's first time meeting between them. I don't know what kind of chemistry they're going to have. I've never seen them touch before. I do feel like there's a chance that both the guys sort of have something to prove and like a chip on their shoulder, and maybe we do get G1 Lance Archer going out there doing all the dope shit he did a couple years ago. I don't think we've really gotten to see too much of that Lance Archer in AEW just yet. he's had some good matches, but nothing like what he was doing, you know, in his final run with New Japan. So, and you know, if what we saw from Miro against Darby Allin is, you know, any indication, I mean, he looked incredible. So, I kind of think Miro's going to run through Lance Archer, to be honest with you. Like, I think it's going to be a car crash, but yeah, I think he's going to kind of run through him.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see some kind of controversial finish. I could see Miro, you know, getting the submission win. Hell, I hate to put this in the air. I could see Jake Roberts turning on Lance Archer.
I thought about that.
And going with Miro, but yeah, James, what you got on this, man?
I want this match to have an 8-minute time limit. Not because I don't think they can go past 8 minutes, but because the best match involved for both parties, if they go out there and they beat the shit out of each other,
yeah,
they snort and they growl and they shoulder tackle each other and they rope run hard and all the hossery and do all of that and like get it done in like 6 minutes and someone wins by basically being overpowered and or overwhelmed and lost by like I want Giant versus Ming. Fuck it, I'm gonna say it. I want Giant versus Ming out this bitch. That's what I want. I want my AEW Giant versus Ming that I've been begging for and wanting to have for a whole fucking like almost 2 years at this point. That's what I want. Give me what I want. That's not what I want. Give me what I want. So, yeah, that's what I want. I want them to go out there and give me the Hoss match that they have yet to give me in AEW. When they sign all those bigger dudes that I was so happy to see, I wanted it, and this is finally the time for it. The time is here. The time is now.
I mean, you know, the Wardlow been beating on who the Wardlow beat on Hager. He beat on Luchasaurus.
Yes, but they was doing flips, and it was a lumberjack match, and you know there was a bunch of smoke and mirrors. I want to see. To paraphrase, like I forgot the name of the song, but look, I want meat to meat. I want to see big men beating the crap out of each other with no remorse or no regards. Look, if Drake Younger wants to come out here and try to rep this, I want them to wipe their asses with his body and then throw him out in the ring. That's what I want. I want destruction.
I'm with it.
Oh man, yeah. So up next we got the 3-way match for the AEW title. We got Kenny Omega defending against Orange Cassidy and Pac. It's a pretty funny segment this week with Omega and Callis trying to get Orange Cassidy to sign his way out of the match, and told him he's a nice little mid-card act and all types of just little quirks or quips.
No, my favorite part of that was like, we need you. They're like, we need you.
Yeah.
They're like,
need you.
They're like, we need you to be the mascot of AEW. But, you know, the top of the act...
Sell some merch.
Yeah, get out there and sell some merch, kid.
Kenny was like, that just happened, like, with Pac. Like the powerbomb went exactly how it was supposed to go.
Yeah.
Like, you know, what would happen, you know, when you're in that upper class, you know, what would happen if, you know, I could give you the one wing angel and it could just, you know, end your life. Like,
and that's the funny part. That's the funny part is like, wait, so you're trying to convince me that like a worked Liger bomb is more gruesome looking than a worked Wandering Angel? Huh? I was like, okay, that's funny because it's like that's ridiculous, but it's still I still like the part where he's like, yes, look at me, look at you, I can murder you if I wanted to. Don't take this mess. You're gonna piss me off. I liked it.
Yeah, I love that he's just telling them like there's levels to this. This is just how it is up here.
Right. It is not the same thing, but it reminds me.
And he's being an executive too.
Right. And it's not the same thing. It's not the same exact thing, but it reminded me of the WrestleMania 28 bill for End of an Era between Undertaker and Triple H, where Triple H is like, I don't want to wrestle you because you know the WrestleMania show every single week. They come to see. They come to see you.
The
I don't want to end this. And then, Undertaker had to say all this stuff. But it's like, same thing is like, I'm a suit. I'm doing what's best for the company. And also, I'm kind of shook. so that's why I enjoyed it. It's like, you're trying to weasel out, you coward.
Pac is probably in England or something. I don't know, but they're just gonna have to show up on the day and have a good 3-way. Orange Cassidy, I'm sure the crowd's gonna be insane for him. Everyone respects Pac. This is Kenny on pay-per-view. And the 3-way, I don't know how to predict 3-way matches really, because I feel like you see so many of them. Some of them are good, some of them are not. These guys are all great. I expect a great match. And Kenny retains. Pins Orange Cassidy.
Yeah, I don't have much analytical, stuff to add to it.
Yeah, you have to have Kenny Omega pinning Orange Cassidy, and then like he eventually achieves to get a match later where it's actually a knockdown drag out singles match where Kenny pits him away too. Like that's kind of how you have to build this thing. So it's just logical.
Yeah, I do think I told Rich this. We were talking a few days ago, and I was like, Kenny's kind of been on this quest to like have a 5-star triple threat match. He's been trying to do that since like his days in the Indies. Tried to do it in DDT. Tried to do it in New Japan. Like, so there might be like he might have something to prove, and even though this might not have the greatest build, like considering who's in it, they'll probably have a really fantastic match. What I'm really interested in is, are we getting a New Japan style challenge situation after the match is over? Like, and sort of like what you guys talked about, like, are we going to see Bryan Danielson like fucking walk out at Double or Nothing like he's Jon Moxley?
If there was any show for him to do it, like Double or Nothing brings back great memories, like especially 2 years ago and 1 year ago. So they have a little legacy to live up to here with this show. So, I would welcome that.
I don't know if it's going to happen. Sorry, go ahead, Rich.
Yeah, you're good. I was going to say I welcome that and then roll him into regular competition, like James said.
Yeah, I think we kind of have our tell when we find out whatever the main event is.
What's up?
I think we kind of have our tell, and we'll know what it is when we find out what our main event is for the show. Because if Daniel Bryan is in fact coming out at the end, he has to close.
He's got to close the show.
That's got to close the show. But like outside of that, unless there's no Daniel Bryan situation, like the Stadium Stampede match is going to last.
That's true.
Yeah, Dave announced that the stadium, or reported that the Stadium Stampede is going to last.
Okay, I mean that. Okay. All right, I didn't know that. Okay.
So they kind of fucked around with Kenny's title defense here. Like I was going to say that's why they didn't really blow like a big time challenger for Kenny here, because they're going to use the Stadium Stampede as the deal here. But Stadium Stampede match, a unit disbandment match. This is the first one in AEW, so Dragon Gate style.
Is it a unit disbandment match?
If Inner Circle loses, they must disband.
Oh, okay. Okay. So if one loses, then okay. All right, that's fine. I thought it was like it. I thought this was both sides.
Double.
Okay. All right, that's fine. I mean, we all expect.
We get there though.
Even before we even got to that point, we expect the Inner Circle to win this anyway, so that's fine.
Pinnacle versus Inner Circle. I like the promos that Jericho has been cutting of late. I mentioned I did not like the beer, or the bubbly spraying stuff, but these guys have been adamant that there's no comedy bullshit happening in this match. I like the comedy bullshit last year, so that's not as much of an insult as he thinks it is, for me at least. But the comedy doesn't fit the tone here.
Yeah, and I think that was more to show you that like this will not be the same thing you got last year. This is something totally different, and also like you mentioned, the tone of all of this build is totally different. So, last year Elite versus Inner Circle was it wasn't particularly it wasn't a blood rivalry. This is.
Well, I think to myself about some of the cinematic matches they've had. I wouldn't call them cinematic. Some of the, brawls that they've done throughout, like, the building with Daly's place and stuff. And, I think about, like, LAX against Best Friends and how great that sort of thing was. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And this seems like it's sort of set up in a similar tone. If it's anything like that, then this should be great. But, I mean, I think they got a tall task in front of them to kind of live up to, the lineage of the first match, and they don't have all the same bag of tricks available to them. And there was that kind of comedy element and the zaniness and all that sort of stuff. And they don't, that might work against them because, I mean, I'm just trying to think of it. Like, what are they actually going to do? They're going to be in a giant building. Like, I just don't see how it's going to play out personally.
I mean, they kind of already previewed what they're going to do. Like after Pinnacle arrived and laid out in a circle, when they came back, and I think it was 2 weeks later, and they shot all that stuff where they beat the piss out of Pinnacle, and I think it was Santana that bust Ball's head and all that kind of stuff. Like, that was like the precursor to like the world is leading back up to, and like that was fantastic. So like for me, I'm thinking like they've already, if all they have to do is what they've already done and make that over a 25-minute thing. Congratulations, we got a great match. Like, does it need to be a 5-star, 6-star match, whatever the fuck Dave Meltzer called it last year? I don't know. All I know is like what they've already done, like with a pre-taped version of a match. That already is like that's already seems to be like what they're going for, and I like it a lot already.
No, I don't disagree. What I mean specifically when I say I don't know what they're going to do, I think about the fact that like last year they incorporated so much of the building, and it's a huge stadium. Okay. And it's like, how are they going to
find more?
Yeah. How are they going to, like, they don't have, they're not going to be riding golf carts. They're not going to be on a cow, on a horse and doing all that stuff. Like, I think them actually physically fighting through the building is going to be a lot more restricted. I'm just wondering how they actually do it. And who knows? There's a lot of creative minds there. They'll probably pull it off. But I just think it's going to be harder to do what's needed just having a straight up brawl, and on the field.
Without leaning on any of the comedy. I mean, they could go around the building. I feel adamant that the Jacksonville Jaguars mascot has to be there, see Jericho, and run for his life. Like, I know they said no comedy, but it's a direct callback to last year.
What did he do? Hit him with a bat?
No, he hit him with a juice effect.
Awesome. He gave him the Judas effect.
Okay.
So it says the Inner Circle, if they lose, they must disband forever.
So
James, you seem to think that that's a lock that the Inner Circle is going to win.
I agree.
No. I thought that Inner Circle was going to win before that step got brought up, because it's like you just do 1-on-1. They already put over the top. Like, you brought in this new faction, you beat them the first time. Inner Circle had the first match, the first Stadium Stampede match. This is like their second match. They had the experience advantage, and also now they turn babyface, they have yet to get their moment of shine as a top babyface faction yet. So it only makes sense. It's like, all right, they gave the one away to the team that needed they needed to win first time, and now you just hand it back, and then like they can both go to separate ways after they beat the shit out of each other with going 1-on-1.
Yeah,
I feel like the Pinnacle is going to win.
I can't see how that would be the case unless they just want to completely move on from this story. But I mean, or if they want to, find a way to, I don't know, maybe have Jericho fight to get the ability to get the group back together down the line, if he beats MJF. But I mean, if they break up, there's really no feud. There's no story left to tell.
Right.
But
I think the thing is, I think either way, this is their last match. Either way. And another thing for me is like also in the back of my mind is
I don't.
Jericho's contract ends at the end of this year, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Jericho and Omega are both 1-1 in big matches, right?
Yeah.
Have your rubber
there's
match.
a job to be done.
Have your rubber match for the AEW title, and then send him. Not send him, but like position yourself to where like if you need to move on from him, then you need to move on from him, and also, Jericho will have no problem putting over Omega for the title, and then you can go to the free agency period or whatever else and figure out if he's going to re-sign or whatever the fuck he's going to do. But you know he clearly is doing the leverage thing. Well, that's the reason why he reached out and did that Austin podcast. So like, so you do it was like, all right, we finally have the rubber match. We protected it. We had it like back in the summer of 2019, and now it's 2021. They've had 3 matches over 4 years. Like, and if you beat Jericho here, or Jericho / Inner Circle here, you got to do a lot of work to get back to that. And I think that's that's one of the few potential big matches that that as a heel that Omega can still have with like face Jericho, and you try this out, and like people will be super into it either way. Like, so I think that protects that match if Inner Circle just wins or whatever else.
I actually
I think you got a good point on that.
I actually disagree with you guys. I don't think they're moving on from this feud. I don't think this is the final match between them. I think that there's a lot of mileage that they have yet to get out of this entire program.
Okay. So Sammy versus MJF, you did as a
for
single.
Sure.
But I'm talking about like 5 versus 5, faction versus faction shit. I think this is the last one.
No, I don't think it is. I think that they're going to do singles matches. I think they're going to do multi-man matches, a lot of them between now and the final blow-off match, which is going to be down the road, a third match between the two of them.
They did War Games. They're about to have Stadium Stampede. What other match do they possibly have, especially when it's like,
I don't know.
MJF versus Sammy.
Elimination match.
Well, MJF versus Sammy Guevara is a match you can do a big match somewhere down the line. You can there's still space for a Hager versus Wardlow match where obviously Wardlow wins. And then you have the FTR versus Santana match that can be you can place in whatever way that people will definitely want to see. Like I think there's more value in them breaking it down into piece by piece by piece as opposed to just run it 5 by 5 for the third time.
Well, no, yeah, I agree with you. And,
you do you do the breakdowns and then you bring them back together for like
that's what
the big
going
elimination match at the end.
They're also clearly still angling for a big MJF Jericho singles match. I know they had the one when they were in the group together, but they're going to do an actual proper one. That's a blood feud between the two of them down the road too. Like, I don't know. I'm looking at the way that they used to do the 4 Horsemen feuds in Crockett. And they would never have blown it off after 2 5-on-5s and that be it. They never do another 5-on-5. They're going to do a long series of matches between these guys and get mileage out of it. I'm pretty positive about that. And they're going to do another 5-on-5 at some point. I don't know what, but they will, and it'll draw money.
Mm-hmm. And I think especially like with that second show, I kind of forgot to bring that up, but they've got some money added onto the TV deal. They're moving to TBS in 2022, and also adding a show on Friday nights called Rampage at 10 o'clock. And they're going to have those 4 specials on TNT that are going to act as Clash of the Champions. And if you look at it, they have the 4 tentpole events, putting 4 more in between them. I think actually will booking kind of snap into place even a little more. With those major shows, I think those pinnacle matches can be hot properties on some of those. If you put 2 of them here, 1 of them here, and hey, you need something for Rampage at the start of the year, like
that's what I'm thinking.
Something like that, yeah. So, but yeah, they got for the second time in a pandemic, they got more money from TNT. So, Jim Cornette, where you at? I thought you said it was going to be out of business in April of 2020 or February 2020. So that just goes to show you shouldn't listen to charlatans. But overall, I think Double or Nothing. It looks good on paper. They just have to show up on the day of because I like the fact that they're going with a lot of traditional matches in here, backing away from the overabundance of gimmicks. I think that they got in trouble with last pay-per-view, which I called ahead of time. I was like, if there's a problem, it's going to be the lack of singles wrestling. It was. They've seemed to address that with Miro and Archer, Hangman and Cage, the Hikaru Shida match, Cody Rhodes and Anthony Ogogo. And I think this is going to be a hell of a show. So
I think that this show is a testament to the great storytelling, character development, and booking that this company's had. Because if you want my honest opinion, yeah, I think it looks like a good show on paper. But compared to some of the lineups that we've seen out of them, especially early on, I don't think that, like, if you took
worker, yeah, I get you.
Yeah, if you took this show like a year or two ago and just threw it out there, people probably wouldn't be as apt to pay the money for it. But because they've built all these different feuds and all these stories and characters so well, that there's real like investment with the product at this point. And I think that that's kind of the testament here is they've kind of gotten over that hump where they're just trying to impress people with giving them the PWG style dream matches. And they've kind of moved more into a holistic product, which is great.
Yeah. It has, I think it has its own, like, they have their own ecosystem of stuff, of things, especially if you're like someone like me or Jeremy or Muzza that watches, as much as the low level stuff as possible. It's like you start seeing, I watched Lee Johnson wrestle, and who knows, like if Daniel Garcia ever like signs in with AEW, but like 5 years down the line, that's going to be important. And it's just like, I don't know. I'm really invested in what they've done as far as like the levels of performers, who they have, and we'll see how they handle the shuffle, because that's always the interesting part when it's time to move someone down and move someone up. So, without further ado, James, you got any final thoughts on the card?
Looking back on it now, I'm thinking, now that we've gone through the shows, like, yeah, I never thought about what Josh was saying as far as like the worker for worker thing or whatever else, but like it is a testament to how well they've booked over the last since Georgia and coming all the way through, and like what how well the Inner Circle face turn has worked out. So yeah, would I rather have seen Pac versus Omega in a singles AEW title match? Of course, but like, Orange has enough credibility with the crowd for it to work, so whatever. Yeah, like it is, and I'm in a weird thing where like, yeah, booking wise, like I see where it could go, but like there are some wins people were like, if they win and I'm not expecting them to win, and it's like they can also make this work too, like how we talked about. So yeah, pretty well built card where you like either someone can win or lose, and you still see pathways to do other interesting things.
Right. Well, yeah, man, that's pretty much all I got on that. Nope, we can answer no questions. Yeah, we'll kick that to next week. But yeah, Josh, I want to thank you for coming on the show with us today. Hopefully, it was a lot more fun than the last one.
Yeah, I had a good time with you guys.
Just let everybody know where they can find you.
Yeah, appreciate you guys having me on for sure. Always a pleasure. You can find us. We are Keepin It Strong Style, the Ace of podcasts. We cover New Japan Pro Wrestling. Every week we drop on Wednesdays. We record on Tuesdays. And, you can find us on Twitter at KI Strong Style. And that's pretty much it, So, check us out, and we can tell you how, New Japan's down bad or if they're up good, all that shit. So...
better than all the other New Japan podcasts.
I think so.
James.
Yeah, I'll close the show. Thanks for listening, y'all. That's it, this show. Be sure to rate us on whatever app you're using to listen to this with. Also, check out ProWrestlingTees.com/Social Suplex and pick up some official Social Suplex Podcast Network merchandise. O's on top is the latest shirt design. Get into it. Tap in. All that talk. And then check out the other shows on the network. One Nation Radio on Mondays, Keepin It Strong Style on recording on Tuesdays, dropped on Wednesdays, Ricky and Clive Wrestling Podcast on Wednesdays, Grown Men Watches Shit every other Wednesday, Grave Consequences Podcast on Thursdays, 8-Bit Suplex on Fridays, All Things Lead on Saturdays, and Great Match Generator on Sundays. Thanks for listening, y'all. Later.
Look out for the draft.